Hello, everybody. Welcome back to No Table Talk. It's your boy, Otnba. Hope everybody's doing good. Hope you're having a blessed day, week, whatever your case may be. Hope you're good, long and short of it. I was having a conversation with a group of friends a couple weeks ago or some time ago. I really don't know the exact time frame. And first of all, I was very proud that we had the same consensus on this. But we were talking about the general mindset that exists now with people not feeling the need to go to school or for formal education. And first of all, there have been diverse ways you can make it now. There have been diverse ways you could garner success. There have been a lot of ways where you could even get education. YouTube being the one platform that keeps on popping up. You feel me? We were having that conversation of how that's a mindset that's becoming more and more prevalent. To some element of truth, yeah. I personally do believe that there are so many avenues of success outside your regular blue collar jobs or your regular formal education jobs. Your jobs that are usually gotten from the typical coursework you find in or we have found in formal education over the years. I do believe that the world is definitely opening up to a place where success can be gotten from anywhere with anything. With anything. But then again, I was talking with my friends about the lapses that could exist without formal education. Even just me basing this soliloquy from the context of YouTube versus formal education, or you being able to learn without paying all that money, which is a lot of money that you'd have to pay for college, or sometimes people even say high school. I mean, high school in America is free, except you're going private. But I mean, other countries it may not be free. So I'll add a high school into it. Because I know Nigeria is not free. It's definitely not free. But yeah, I'll add high school to it. Formal education, in quote. Formal education, in quote. Specifically higher education. We were talking about the different lapses that could exist, which I want to explore right now. Really just basing on one main lapse that we talked about. One main lapse being structure. You see, a lot of people have said that, yeah, we don't need to go to school. I'd rather not go to school to save my money. The money that we pay for college is ridiculous. It is crazy. Money for tuition is wild. Then you add in stuff like textbooks and housing and feeding and just your general upkeep. It's just a madness when one starts to think of it. And those are very logical reasons why we may not want to go that route. Coupled with the fact that it's not a guaranteed route to success, or it's not a guaranteed route, at least financial success, which is a direct derivative of having a job, really. Which is usually why people say go to college. But you saying you want to learn on YouTube, yeah. It does make sense. There's a bunch of stuff online. I mean, the world is at a place now where you can learn anything. It's really just a click away. You can look up anything. There is so much knowledge out there where you don't have to sit in the four walls or within the four walls of a classroom or a college building, where you don't have to sit in front of a professor where you don't have to at least be answerable to a professor or a teacher, or you don't have to even have classmates. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to spend the money, like I said before. You even as per textbooks, you may not even have to buy textbooks. There are resources, a lot of free resources online. Yes, everything I just said, it just makes formal education or it just makes you just binning formal education sound very, very expedient. Well, it could be expedient in certain cases, but I'm very careful to make that generalization. I'm very careful to just scrap the necessities that I think formal education provides. If that makes sense, in defense of informal education. But just going back from what the conversation my friends and I were having, one thing that we found out that formal education does provide you is structure. Because when we go to school, especially college, um, one of the first things we address um, in the first week of school, first week of classes, is your syllabus. Your syllabus being a broken down agenda of things that the professor has planned for the class to go over on a week by week basis in order to achieve being imparted with the knowledge that um, is necessary for the level you're at, or is appropriate for the level you're at. That's what the syllabus is. And that syllabus is given to you on the first week of class. In places like this, teachers, that first week or even the first day, the first week, a lot of teachers are very particular about going over that syllabus with the students. So you go over every date. A lot of those syllabuses also have the due dates for assignments. You get what I'm saying? So in other words, there's a structure that's already laid out, that's already planned out for you. So in you coming into class week after week, ready to learn, you have an agenda of what to expect to be covered on the day you're going into class. If anything, a lot of professors encourage you to use that syllabus to prepare ahead of time. So you read ahead of time. Or you may never have to read. You may just get a general idea of what to expect. So whatever preparation you need to do outside to aid you, you have the tools to at least show you what you need to prepare for. You get what I'm saying? Even me going back to the due dates for your assignments, you have an agenda for what is expected of you at the end of every week. You have an agenda of your to-do list, in quotes, where you may even be able to foresee the general workload you have over the course of the semester, if that makes sense. Long and short of it, there is structure. That's what I'm driving at. There is structure. Even in the general college calendar, you're able to pull up a general college calendar and say that from this month or from this week of the month to this week of the month, we're going to be in school. School starts on this day, school ends on this day. Making that into the larger picture, you start your program in your first year on this day. Ideally, you should end on this day. Even in you registering for classes from your first year, from your freshman year, you have an agenda of courses you should take per semester, where if you take this courses or this particular courses every semester, if you follow this agenda, you are guaranteed to graduate on this day, ideally. And maybe in some countries where we have strikes or in some places where you don't have the luxury of going to a private college, where in those countries you could have employees go on strikes, where you don't have things where you could be supposed to be in school for 4 years and you end up being there for 6 years. Stuff like that. Those things do happen. Those things are not even within your control. But in a perfect world, not even a perfect world, in an ideal society, in an ideal world, that agenda is given to you on different levels, whether on the general college level or specific to your program or specific to your class, whatever it is, there is structure. We realize that structure isn't something that readily exists outside formal education. Because a lot of people that say that, you know what, I'm not going to school, I'll just learn whatever I want to learn on YouTube. We realize that, well, there is some validity to it. Some people could have the willpower, the maturity, the discipline to make that structure for themselves. Or, I mean, even some of these online programs that we may run into, I mean, there are different platforms like Udemy now, Udemy, where people create coursework or program work and they sell it for relatively cheap prices. And you could learn those things. And yes, they have an agenda, but even that is kind of subject to you because you are not really mandated to follow it. You're not really mandated to follow it by virtue of the money you've paid or the money your parents have paid or by virtue of having been registered in this school. You get what I'm saying? Or you being subject to the rules and regulations of that school. You're really just subject to the rules and regulations of YouTube, which you're watching on your account. So you're pretty much just subject to yourself. You get what I'm saying? Some people could have the maturity and discipline to keep up the task with the schedules that this freelance tutors have prepared for you. Some people could even be disciplined enough to make their own schedule. You get what I'm saying? To draw a schedule and say, I want to learn this. I'm going to learn this from this day to this day. And I'm going to dedicate this number of hours every day or this number of days a week to learn this thing. You get what I'm saying? And I'm not going to put in the time, the practice time I need to garner expertise in this field or garner expertise in this subject. You feel me? But we realize that outside that, first of all, there are not a lot of people like that. There are not a lot of people like that. If we're being honest with ourselves, a lot of people don't. I mean, we, especially myself included, we could start something. And I mean, I don't even know if I'm that kind of person because I mean, I've been ingrained in formal education all my life. So, but I've been in situations where I just say I want to learn something, or I have completed a lot of stuff I wanted to learn. There's also some stuff I haven't completed. There's also some stuff that I have just let slip by. There's probably some coursework that I have completed 60% of the way and I haven't gone back to for months. You feel me? But then on the flip side, me being in school, I have had programs where I do know if I had my way, I have woken up sometimes and I have said, I don't want to go to this class. If I had my way, I wouldn't go to class. I mean, you could do that. You would just reap the consequences. But there are me being responsible. There are times I've been like, yeah, I don't want to go to class. I don't want to do these assignments. I mean, we all have had those situations, but we do them anyway. Why? Because we're subject to a certain structure. A certain structure that we believe has certain consequences. Even if we're not at the point where some of those consequences could be very, very dire, but just consequences like your grades failing. I mean, yes, this is subject to the standards of each individual, but hoping I'm speaking to all responsible and mature individuals. Just standards of your grades failing, that being a consequence, you try to escape it and you try to, irrespective of how you feel, irrespective of whether you feel like doing this or going to class or doing this assignment or putting yourself through this work. I mean, everybody would rather watch Netflix or rather just chill or just late or just sleep and not have to wake up at 4 a.m. or not have to stay up all night or not have to do whatever they need to do in this particular coursework. Irrespective of how we feel, we do that assignment. We wake up at 4 a.m. We stay up all night. We complain throughout the whole process, but we stay up all night. And at the end of the day, you're like, yeah, it was worth it. At least when you see your grades or when you complete what you need to complete, you get what I'm saying. That structure really doesn't exist outside formal education. That structure isn't something that a lot of people even have. It's not even convenient. You feel me? So that then made us say to ourselves that for a lot of people that discounts formal education and say that and then readily fall back on the excuse that I can really learn this anywhere, we realize that it's really just a cop out. It's really just an excuse it's an excuse that could have some validity, but that validity is subject to each individual. And now the question is, do you think you have the willpower and the discipline to create this structure for yourself, especially when you really have nothing that you've put down that is at stake. You haven't paid for tuition. I mean, I'm trying to think of this for myself. If I've placed the duty on myself to just seek out the knowledge I want to know online without certain factors being there to hold me by the neck when my willpower fails, or when I just get lazy, or when I just get tired. Because we do get tired, we do get lazy, every high performance individual, whether you're an athlete or whether you're a scholar or whatever it is, you get to levels where you're just like, you feel it. You get what I'm saying? You feel the brunt of it. I mean, even in college, that's really why we have spring break. That's why we have breaks. So even like in high school, we have midterm breaks. You get what I'm saying? We have breaks to take a break, literally. You feel me? To take a break. Even in our regular society, sometimes we have a lot of public holidays. It's supposed to be there to take a break. You feel me? Yeah, we get tired. We get tired. But then, are there other things? Is the structure there to keep you intact, to keep you together? You feel me? It just reminds me of reinforcing concrete. It reminds me of reinforcing concrete. You could build a pillar without any reinforcements. This is me even casting back to my civil engineering days. You could build a pillar without any metal or iron reinforcements. You get what I'm saying? You could just use concrete. You could mix your concrete. You could make your cast, pour your concrete in. When your concrete solidifies, you could just take off your cast, take off your mold, and you could have your pillar. You could have your structure. But it is very, very good civil engineering practice. It's very good engineering practice. It's very good physics practice for reinforcements, for structure. Even the mold that exists is supposed to be there pending when that concrete forms. You get what I'm saying? So when that concrete is even still has its liabilities, its natural liabilities, that mold and that cast is supposed to be there as structure to dictate how that concrete forms. But then we now add extra things in the middle. We add reinforcement frames, you get me? To keep that concrete pillar stable. So that even if that concrete forms, even when that concrete forms, even when it's the best it can be, even when it starts off with the most motivation, even when it starts off right, at the end of the day, no matter what could happen to it further down the line, because it could weaken by anything. It could weaken by the chemistry of the concrete. It could weaken by the chemistry of the concrete. It could weaken by the actual ingredients going into the concrete making process not being into the right ratio. It could be due to external factors. It could be due to weather. It could be due to natural disasters, still falling under weather. It could be due to maintenance. It could be due to stress being placed on that structure. For example, we step into buildings, and a lot of buildings have capacities where, I mean, even if you go into an elevator, if you walk into your elevator has a capacity of the number of people. Most buildings, technically all buildings should have, especially buildings that have multiple stories, should have a capacity of a number of individuals in there. You know what I'm saying? Especially when stress is placed on that structure due to the capacity being overloaded or whatever it may be. Those reinforcements are there to at least do the due diligence to that concrete for it to stand its ground for as long as it needs to. You feel me? For that duration process, for those few months you're in school, that structure is there to keep you on task. It's there to do exactly what it's supposed to do. Provide structure. You feel me? Yes, formal education is not the end be all end all. There are also a bunch of other ways you could get knowledge, a bunch of other avenues you could get knowledge. I mean, even going back to my country, Nigeria, there are a lot of people who don't have formal education, but they are so versed in the mechanics of automobiles just because at a very, very young age, they were assigned to this mechanic that just took them under their wing and then just taught them for a couple of years. And then now they just have this specialty in first thing. It could be a certain kind of automobile, it could be a certain brand. They just have this education without even stepping into the four walls of a school, without even paying money, paying tuition money. Yes, you could get knowledge in any which way. But even those people, like the example I just gave, you being under that mechanic's tutelage, you are demanded to be under a certain structure. That mechanic will not just let you come and lounge about. You feel me? He would put you under certain regiments, and then he would tell you when you're ready to move to the next level. And then when you get to a certain level that you already know ahead of hand, you know a level you're supposed to get to that will now release you out of his care. Let's not despise formal education because it does provide the structure that a lot of us, most of us need. I could say all of us, but well, most of us need. Most of us definitely would not be the worst for it. You get what I'm saying? College in itself may be draining. School in itself may be draining, especially when you may get into a program and you may not fancy it. You may not be what you wanted, you get me? But there are other things to it. Structure being one of them. There are other things to it. If you have the opportunity, I mean, yeah, a lot of people don't have the opportunity to go to school. But if you have the opportunity to go to school, don't despise it. There's a bunch of good in it. A bunch of good. Today is really a personal love letter to everyone who's going back to school, really. People are going back to high school. Some people are going back to college. Some people are starting college. Some people are going back for their masters. Some people are going back to school in general. And yes, some more than others. I mean, especially some of us that may be going for our masters, we may be experienced in the collegiate level of education. We may have we sometimes don't even need a pep talk. You get what I'm saying? So I guess this is more for our high schoolers, or you know what? This is for everybody because I guess no knowledge is lost. So I guess this could apply to everybody. When it comes to process, really any process. When it comes to process, a lot of emphasis is placed on how you start, how you begin. There's a very, very high demand for you to start well because everything that follows is kind of contingent on that. I mean, yeah, you could finish well, you could pick up. I mean, just looking at a marathon, for instance. I mean, some people say you may not want to start the marathon off too quickly. You may want to preserve your energy, amongst other logical things. You get what I'm saying? But wellness, it really isn't directly equivalent to quickness. Meaning that even in the marathon, you may not have to start quick, but you should start well. Because if you don't start well enough, no matter how much you try to recover in the middle of the race or at the end of the race, you may not make it, man. Plus, your start definitely dictates how easy it is for you to make up whatever lapses may exist towards the end. Let's also know that the opportunity that a lot of us have, a lot of us have the opportunity to go to school, a lot of us have the opportunity to not just go to school, but go to good schools. Let's maximize it. Let's maximize it. Let's grab it and then let's make the most of it. Those grades, take it up. Take it up. I mean, if anything, it won't do you any bad. It could get you things like scholarships. It could get you really good jobs. It could make you feel good. Nobody likes to fail, man. So let's do what we have to do. Let's keep on task with our shit. And I hope all of us at the end of the semester, at the end of the term, we look back and we're like, yes, I did well. Hopefully, even in the middle of the term where we're starting to feel tired, or towards the end when we're starting to feel tired, we're like, oh, okay, I'm not that much under pressure because I started well. You feel me? So appreciate you all for listening and watching. Have a blessed day, week, month, whatever it is as it applies. God bless. All right, bye.
Sit back, relax, and chill. Grab a glass of wine or a cup of tea, 'cause you're listening to No Table Talk.